Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar event for special events. So the purpose of today's meeting is just for the submission process, the application process, what you're required to do to submit to us and have a successful review and permit issuance for your event. And we'll also discuss some things to occur after permit issuance with relation to inspections and reports and things like that. We're not going to be discussing individual event specifics or necessarily those criteria. This is just for submitting and using GovModus and our electronic review system called Project Docs. So the very first thing that we want everyone to do is go to the Office of the State Fire Marshal's website. That website is osfm.fire.ca.gov. And once you get to the site, under this area right here that says divisions, you'll get a drop down and you'll want to go to the Fire and Life Safety Division. Fire and Life Safety Division is the division that will handle your review of your events and your inspections of your events. Our website will have some information about what we do and where we have enforcement regulation for state-owned buildings, specified state-occupied buildings, and state institutions. You will also find some contact information for us under these drop-down options here. And the contact list will provide you with a list of staff for the entire state based on their office location. And if you go to the office location closest to you, it'll tell you who the supervisor is and the counties that they serve. It will give you the names of the staff that work in those offices and who may or may not be covering your facilities. General questions should be directed to the supervising deputies so that they can distribute to the appropriate staff and you can get more efficient and quicker service. From these drop-downs, after the contact information, there's other information you may review if you wish, but for special events, you're going to want to come down to the Special Events tab. And it says that our requirements are applicable to all exhibit spaces, booths, trailers, or tents as part of a special event. It also reminds everybody that special event applications and associated documents shall be submitted to the OSFM no later than 10 days before the opening of the event. Applications submitted after this point are potentially subject to not being reviewed or approved or issued a permit. You'll see some links down here. Soon this webinar will post a link for this meeting that we're currently attending. Then you have some items where you can look up information with memos regarding and relating to tents and their requirements, approvals that are required, and a number of other amount of information that you can read and look through. You'll also see stuff for energized electrical equipment as a trifold, which will help provide some general information on what is and what is not allowed relating to electrical equipment at your events. We also have a trifold for the events in general and fairgrounds. And it also contains information on different criteria and items that may or may not be at your events. This list is not all encompassing, but should cover a wide array of information. This label is actually for a cover page, and this is our special events cover page. This is required for every special event submittal. After you submit your GovModus application, which we'll walk through shortly, you'll have a space to type in your GovModus permit number and the name of your event. It provides some general information on things that are required. It is not all encompassing. It talks about we will have final approval for events and the permit subject to field inspection, and that you need to include this page as the first page of your multi-page file during upload. And we'll talk about the multi-page files when we start reviewing stuff on the submittal requirements. The last piece says apply for special events permits. Visit this page right here or this document for submittal information. It is a PDF that has a functional table of contents, so you can click on these and it will take you to where you want to go. On our requirements, we remind you to visit our website regularly for the most up-to-date versions of these instructions. As these change, we will update this document. And another reminder for all special event applications that need to be submitted to the OSFM needs to be no later than 10 days before the opening of the event. So the first question is do you need a permit? Most likely, yes. Special events that are occurring on state-owned buildings, state-owned property, specified state-occupied buildings, will require an OSFM special event permit. For information on defining a state-owned or specified occupied building, please go to California Title Regulations Title 24, Part 1 in the Administrative Code for Chapter 3, and it will provide a list of what those state-occupied buildings are. All right, to submit, we want you guys to utilize our electronic processing system called Project Docs. What this does is it allows you to upload your documents to us in a single multi-page file. We can review it from anywhere in the state. We don't have to print anything. We don't have to scan anything. We can do it completely electronic and get it back over to you. As I said before, it must contain the special events cover page, and the entire thing must be in accordance with the drawing file requirements, which are listed below. We don't want it to contain any kind of pre-printed SFM approval stamp block or language. This is something that facilities have used in the past for us to have a pre-printed area to identify approval and sign. Our electronic system applies a stamp which places all this language on the document when we stamp it, so we don't need to have it pre-printed anymore. And your files shall be uploaded in accordance with the file type requirements, which will be discussed below. Accepted sheet sizes are listed in the title block and configuration settings below. Where you have to provide a stamp place for us isn't provided below, and we'll talk about how to name your file so that we will accept it and move it to the review queue. Important for drawing files, all documents, which is your single multi-page file, with the OSFM Special Events cover page as the very first page, also has to contain an identifier in the bottom right corner that will be reflected as V1 or V2 or V3. V1 would be the very first time that you submit that package to us. V2 is the second time, V3 is the third time. So every time we review it, if we have comments and we send it back to you and you need to resubmit, the second time you send it in, all of your sheets will need to have a V2 in the bottom, and this helps us with tracking when stuff was submitted and which version it was, and make sure that we're looking at the most up-to-date documents. The file type requirements that we accept, we only accept PDF documents. So all your documents will need to be scanned into one PDF file and then uploaded. The naming standards for the files, we just want the file to have the name of your event. You'll only be uploading one file full of all the documentation that you need to provide to us. So it just needs to have the name of the event, whatever that is. Please limit the number of characters to 35 characters or less, and please do not include the date or version numbers or anything of that nature. Resubmittals, as we talked about with the versioning, after review, the entire submittal must be uploaded again. It must be named exactly the same as the original file, which is why we don't want any dates or version names, version indicators in the name of the file. But the sheets will need to have that placed on the physical file before it's uploaded. If you want any sheets to be removed from the submittal, you do not need to include them in your upload that you resubmit. If you have any questions, you can ask our intake staff, and there will be an email address provided below where you can email them and ask questions. Title block configuration and stamp, essentially from the bottom right corner of the page, you need to provide a clear area on the, and this will be on the cover page, so it should be provided strictly because our cover page is the first document. This area should already be clear, but just to make sure, don't write anything or anything like that on the cover page, which is our cover page, that has anything in this area, because we will need to stamp it, and this is where the stamp goes. I'm going to go ahead and see if there's any questions related to that information before we move on. So there was a question that asked if it was 10 business days or calendar days. I believe that is 10 business days that we're asking for there, since our staff, we're not assigned or scheduled to work on weekends during our normal working hours. All right. So getting started, essentially this section, I'm not going to go through it thoroughly. It's kind of a step-by-step for you guys to follow along with as you very first time go through this, or even as a refresher. Essentially, it covers how to set up your browser to function the best for pop-ups that come from our system. And then it tells you the website to go to log in. Please remember, this is just our portal application. Always come to our website and look at the website for special events for the most up-to-date instructions, including this document that we're reviewing right now. If you don't already have an account, register for one. Since this is for special events, facilities that are doing special event applications, if the facility creates an account and they submit all the applications under that account, they'll always have access to all the permits. They'll all be aware of when the if the events have been permitted by our office or not. If you want your promoters or vendors to be submitting instead, you could do that, but you'll need to be aware of the fact that you may not know if they have been permitted if they don't put your information onto the application. So work with them to make sure that you're in the agency contact, which we'll show you and talk to you about that in a second, or control the applications yourself and submit them as the facility, and ensuring that a permit is issued for any event on your property. And with the accounts, the email address that is used, that is the owner of your application. So whoever creates the account, they own the application. So if you want to create it but share it with vendors and you use one email address for all of your applications, they'll be able to see all of your permit applications. So keep that in mind when sharing login information if you're going to try to control all the applications through one account. Once you're logged in, you can apply for a new permit by clicking the Apply New Permit button, and then it'll walk you through down the application, fill out the fields accordingly. You're going to select electronic for the media type. And then when you're done, you're going to hit Submit. It's going to take you to the screen here where you click Upload Plans. And once you do that, it will take you into Project Docs, which is our platform. And the next steps will walk you through what to click on to accept your task, what to do with your task inside the task screen that appears, how to find files, how to upload them, and how to complete your task. I scrolled through this kind of quickly, but the goal isn't to walk you through this here right now. This is just showing you that we have instructions for how you need to proceed. Once it's completed, you'll get a thank you window that tells you that you've been submitted. It will officially come to our side of the program, and we will look at it with our intake staff, and they may see that you didn't follow some instructions, and they may return it with some of these pre-screen checklist items. So how you would respond to comments and checklist items. If you get a pre-screen corrections notice, you'll be informed of which requirement that we just reviewed from above that was not met, and you'll need to correct that and then resubmit. Once we get to a review stage, if your documents are okay, it'll go to a reviewer. If they see anything that needs to be changed because it's not code compliant, they'll make what's called a change mark, and then it'll get sent back to you as a plan review comment deficiency, and you'll have to respond to those comments and then resubmit. All correction items require a response in a what's called the change mark or checklist viewer. There's instructions here that will explain how to view that, but we'll show it to you in a little bit. To help clarify any comments, you can also publish what are called the red line comments. You can open the document and follow the instructions below to view the red line set and then publish that to a PDF that you can view. Or if you want, you could just look at it as your document and scroll through it, however you'd like to view that. After you get issued a permit, so we've approved your drawings and our staff have issued a permit to schedule a special event inspection. We'd have you reach out to the OSFM supervisors for the county, which is noted in the contact list that we showed you earlier, and ask them to have an event inspection, tell them when you'll be ready for one, and they'll coordinate a deputy to come out and do an inspection. So once your event starts, we'll have staff that come out and do pre-event inspections or inspections during your event if we feel that it is warranted. And they may fill out some reports. Those reports may be reports that have a pass, or they may have deficiencies. Either way, the reports need to be signed. And we will need to have you guys log into the GovModus account and go sign those reports, which we'll show you how to do in a little bit. Some common mistakes are uploading files into the wrong folders, which we'll talk about as well. Not having the cover page as part of your submittal, not having a single multi-page file, having pages that aren't oriented correctly when uploaded, not following the file names, and not completing your task. Uploading your documents is not the official submission alone. And we'll show you what that stuff looks like. And just as a heads up, the system will kind of sign out after about 120 minutes of inactivity. So if you're responding to comments in the system or you're just in there, you may want to refresh your screen so you don't get logged out. Okay, so for those that have never been to GovModus before, the link is on in the instruction sheet that we just reviewed. When you get here, you can register and fill out some basic information and get an account. Once you log in, this is what your dashboard will look like. If you haven't submitted before, none of this information will be here. This will be empty, but this shows that the account here has a lot of activity, a lot of permits. You can click up here and it will take you into your permit at any time. It also shows you the name, what type of permit, which if it's special events that you're submitting and that's all you're submitting, they'll just say special event. It'll give you the current status, whether it's in draft, it's new, if it's been issued a permit. And then you'll also see some stuff where you may have some signatures that are required to your account. And we'll go over that in a little bit. So to show you what the application looks like, this one's already been filled out for today. The field should just be the project name, should just say the name of the event. A description would be a brief description of what it is, a concert, a exhibit hall, sporting event, whatever needs to be put in here. The permit type would say special event, and then the media format would be electronic. All the information should be filled out. The applicant information is who is submitting. There's no need to fill out anything with building contractor. The agency information. This is the state agency where the event is taking place. So if it's a fairgrounds or if it's at another state location, a college campus, whoever from that agency is the contact. So this will not be the promoter or a vendor. It will be a representative that works for the campus that we can call to get information. And they're also the people that will be able to tell you what the billing code is. If you have an event in Sacramento County and you're the promoter filling this out, just because you see Sacramento County SB 1022 as a billing code dropdown, that isn't necessarily what you should be billing. You may be at CSU Sacramento and you would need to pick the correct CSU Sacramento billing code. You may be at a fairgrounds and you'll need to pick the correct fairgrounds billing code. So work with the people at that facility to get that information if you're not the agency representative filling this out. There'll be a different piece of information down here for special events where it'll ask you for the type of activity, any kind of other activity that is occurring, event sponsor's name. It'll have an event start date and time. This is important information. We need to know when the event is starting and opening and when it's ending. Estimated attendance and a description. I know we asked for the description up at the top, but this is down here for data for other areas of the system. Generally for this site, in your application, you'll see this control panel on the left-hand side of the screen. It will give you your permit number. It will tell you the current status that it is in. You can also see that there are these action buttons here, which allow you to do certain things. One of those is requesting inspections. So if we've identified that you need a special event inspection, which you would see listed on the permit document that you would receive, you can request that inspection in here when you're ready to have that inspection. So throughout the submittal process, you would see emails going from the system to your account, and attached to those, it will say, it'll be the documents, like this is a printout of the application that has been filled out. And it'll have a permit that gets sent to you as well. And it'll have the information for your event, and it'll tell you its expiration and validity. And then any kind of inspections that are performed on site, it will send you that as an email as well with an attachment for an inspection report. It will have information about the event, and it will have information about whether it passed, or if we do more than one, maybe it failed, and then there's a violation, which tells you the code section and regulation that was violated, and what comments there are as to why the code was not, the event condition was not compliant. Once you get those, let's go back over to project docs. So when you're filling this out, you would get to the bottom and there'd be some buttons down here for submitting. You would hit submit and it would take you into project docs. It'll show you some folders over here and it will show you this task list information. If you see a hyperlinked item here, you have a task. And if you have a task, that means your submittal is not with us. It is not ready for OSFM to review it. We can't actually do anything with it. There's 3 parts to a task: accepting the task, performing the task, and completing the task. So to accept the task, it's as simple as just clicking on the hyperlink, saying you accept the task, and this window will open regarding your event. The information from GovModus will appear here. It doesn't appear here right now because we created this project outside of GovModus just for today. But it'll tell you instructions and it'll say, please upload files to the appropriate folders below. And it tells you to please go visit our website for any new requirements. We remind you to please go check our website before you do anything else. Then you'll need to take your multi-page file and you'll need to upload it into the documents file. So you can select files to upload. It'll bring up this window. You can either browse for files through your computer's file explorer, or you can drag them into this box here. Once you have files chosen, you want to make sure that you can see the file name and you can see the size of the file here. The reason for that is that if you try to drag a file from Outlook, for example, it will not load. It may seem like there's a document here, but if there's no size, it says 0 of 0, then it's not recognizing your file. The file needs to come from your computer, not from an email or a calendar event or anything like that. So once you have this correctly, you can click upload and it will tell you the files that were uploaded. And then you'll see them inside this folder here. Once you've done that, you can check the box that says your upload task is complete. I have uploaded all required documents. And then you can complete the task. Let me see if there's any questions. We have a question that says, submit my permit request through Campus Fire Department. Am I still required to submit this request? If you are on state-owned property, or if you are on state-specified property, then yes, you are still required to submit to us because we are the authority having jurisdiction. So once you've officially submitted and your task has disappeared because you've completed it, the next steps are waiting for us to do the review. If you haven't heard anything in a few days, you may want to try to reach out to the local deputy and see if they've seen your request so that you can get a permit in a timely manner. If there's any problems with what you submitted, as I said, you can get a pre-screen item or a deficiency comment. And as an example, this is what it would look like. This is a PDF of it. It looks exactly like this. And there's a column over here for an applicant response. And your response to any condition that we have can be replied to. Once you've responded to any comment, you can revise your document and you can re-upload them and then resubmit. Okay, so a review was performed in this example. And we're going to open up this task window. It'll tell me that I need to respond to all my correction items and upload the files, revised files into the appropriate folder. I can view my comments here and it shows me what I have. I can see a thumbnail of it, which is kind of hard to see, but I can see that it is what the comment is here. It just says provide stamp location. Obviously, this page will have an opening for that. I just made a temporary comment. If this is too small to see what we're talking about, you can also come into the folder and you'll see this little symbol right here. And this is these are the instructions that are set up on the document we went through earlier. We talked about publishing comments. You can set this up and view it it will open the document and it will contain the item that we made. And if there's more than one, there'll be a list of them here. And you can review them. And there will be an option up here that says publish. If it doesn't say that, like it does not say right now, then you can contact us and we can get you that right set up, and it will make a PDF of your documents with our comments laid on top of them. So let's say that you're ready to resubmit. You come in here, you want to make a response. You just simply type in under the applicant response the solution or your response. You'll save it. And then you can come in here and upload your new file. And when you do that, you want to see that this is blue, the name of the file. The reason for that means it's a version candidate, which means that the name is the same as your original document. If something changed in it, it will version, which is what we want. If it does not change in the system, so after you get that, you can mark these items that you've completed this and you complete your task. So then what we want to see is when we're looking at your file on our side of the program, what we'll see is this version indicator here. It turned blue on the upload and it will let us know that the file name stayed the same, which is important. It has to stay the same so that this functions properly. Then if any content inside the document had not changed, and even a period at the end of a sentence is being evaluated by this program. If nothing changed, this V2 would not be here, which means it did not see a change in the document and it discarded it. So the version has to have a change. So our comments that we made provides a change to your document. Your new document has a change in it. It will show this V2, and that's what we're looking for. Once we receive your document, we'll review it for the comments that were made. We'll review it for the changes that you made on your actual drawings, and we will perform the review and clear those comments and we'll get you set up with a permit issuance, which I'm processing right now. All right, once we've issued approval, a new folder will appear on the view from the applicant side, and it is the approved folder. And inside the approved folder, you will find your documents, and you will find it with our stamp in it. Once you have that, you're able to go to GovModus and ensure you got a permit issued. You should also have been emailed the document as well for your permit. If you did not receive a permit, reach out to the supervisor for the area, and they can get the deputy that did the review to go back in and issue the permit so that you can have a permit to go with your approved documents. And let's see if there's any questions on that. As far as what other documents you might need to upload other than the cover page, it's really anything that has to do with your event. It could be multiple layouts for multiple rooms at a facility. It could be documentations for any stages to show that they're structurally stable to be used as a stage. If the event has fireworks, then you may have all the firework information in there as well from the pyrotechnic operator. It really depends on your event. Could be just a few things, could be quite a few. Okay, once you have your approval and once you have a permit, for scheduling inspections, we talked about scheduling through the system or scheduling through the supervisor. You would get a report, and once you have that report in your GovModus dashboard, you would see a request for a signature here. So what you would do is you would open the report. It'll tell you how many pages the report is. It'll give you some information about the report. And it will give you details like when the report was performed or inspection was performed. This should say special event. It'll tell you if it failed or passed. It will give you some comments about the inspection from the staff. And any code deficiencies that they found will be listed on the report. Once you've reviewed the report, To sign it, you can either sketch to sign or you can upload a signature image. If you sketch to sign, you could just sign away, hit save. It will give you a preview over here. If you're satisfied with the signature, you can click submit. And it will generate a copy of the report with your signature. And you can either download this from here to keep it for your records, or it'll be available in the managed documents of your GovModus application. And it also should have been emailed to the account tied to your permit application. After your event, our deputies will go through your permit application, and once the reports have been signed, they can issue a certificate of completion. And then the system will email you and provide in the managed documents a document that looks like this that will say that essentially that the project, which is your event, has been completed. That is all of the items that we have in terms of how to submit, where to get the information from, what GovModus is, what Project Docs is, and the steps to proceed through them to submit your special event application to us and have a quick and easy review and get an approval and a permit issued, and how to close out your permit with signing inspections and getting a certificate of completion for the end of your event. Is there any additional questions? Let's see. There's a question about real-life example of special events, hiring fairs, large social gatherings, concerts, anything that you're using a building or space that is not normally used for. There's a question about new Cal OSHA certificate requirements to be submitted. I'm not familiar with what those requirements are. If you email the helpline, which is on our website, I'll go back to this email address here. We'll look into it and we can get back to you about that. Expected turnaround time. These go to the individual staff. I don't know if I remember off the top of my head if there's any kind of a date or number of days of turnaround, but we're asking it for no later than 10 days so that we can have time to review it and get it back to you before your event. As far as whether an event is required to have an inspection, that'll be up to the supervisor and the field deputy that oversees your facility. There's a question, yes, homecoming tents, information booths, all of that stuff would require a permit. Those are events, yes. All right. That is all the information that we have for you today. I'm sure that you have other questions about event specifics. Please reach out to the supervisor for your area based on the contact list, and they can help answer any specific questions related to the facility that you're at, any additional requirements that they might have that aren't a part of the submission process, which is what was reviewed here today, and they can work with you to get those questions answered. Thank you very much for attending, and we hope you find this helpful.